trim excess pixels from a selection. And here's the way I like to do it. This is the quick, easy way to do it. There we go. I made everybody else disappear except the things I wanted to use. Good. I've got a couple copies here because I like to do that. All right. So I have here a selection that I have intentionally added pixels to the edges. So if you look at the outside, and this happens sometimes to your stuff, right? Now you could get in here. Now here's one way to do this. You could get in here with your eraser tool and making sure it's set to 100% hardness. You could, in theory, nibble away at it, right? Let's do it on an area we can really see over the bricks. This is tedious. Let me just tell you, this is kind of tedious. I could use a smaller brush maybe if I go faster. But you can see, for me to be really careful about this and not destroy this, that's a tedious process. So that's the way I don't recommend it. And yes, I'm well aware that the tusk is missing. That wasn't the point of this video, now was it? So I'm going to go in my layer palette and undo that erasing. There we go. And I'm going to show you a little tip. So try to be quick and direct. To select everything, this is already cut out, but it's cut out poorly, and I want to trim some pixels from around the edges. Sometimes you have a little bit of background that comes with it. The way I'm going to do that here is to go ahead and hover over the icon for the layer. Not the name of the layer, not the eyeball next to the layer, but the actual icon for the item in the layer you want to trim. And then on a Mac, you hold down the Command key, or on a PC, you hold the Control key. And as you can see, the little hand gets a little box with marching ants, like a little marquee tool, just like that. That appears over here. I'm going to click, and that selects everything in this layer perfectly. Now I'm going to go up to the very top of the page and go to Select. It's between Type and Filter, the word Select, and I'm going to go to Modify. And I can modify this in a variety of ways. I can add a border around that. I can smooth that. So if I had a lot of little bumpiness to it, I could smooth it out if that was the desired thing. I could expand it and make it bigger. In fact, that is how I got these extra pixels on this selection. I can contract them. I can shrink the selection. That's what we're going to do. And then if I wanted to, I could feather that selection. So if I wanted to make the edges all fuzzy uniformly around the edges, I could feather them. All right, so we're going to contract this. I'm just going to contract this. It's asking me how many pixels. Now, I expanded this by 2 pixels. Let's contract it by 1 pixel so we have a little left over. Because a lot of times you don't know how many pixels you have, right? So it's literally a wash, rinse, and repeat thing. All right, so I just did it there. I have contracted the selection. Now, I can tell by looking at it. If you zoom in, and zooming in is your friends, folks. So don't hesitate to take a good look. I can see that there's still white on the outside. I can keep zooming. Can I? Oops, wrong button. There we go. Now, when you see these little boxes, you're looking at the pixels. You see how I can see there's still fringy fringes up in here. So I'm going to do that contract thing again. Select, modify, contract. And by 1 pixel. It's looking better. I don't think it's going to be perfect, but we'll take a look at it. Now, here's how I get rid of the background. If I was to hit delete right at this moment, what would I get rid of? The elephant, which is not and I'm leaving his outline. That is not my desired thing to do. Undo that. Okay, so for me to get rid of the elephant, I go to Select, Inverse, or you could hit Shift, Command I, or on a PC, Shift, Control I. That's how I normally do it. Inverse. What did that do? It took the elephant from being selected to the background being selected. Now, you know, Hinkle Fieldhouse is on another layer, so we're not going to worry about that. There you go. So I just deleted everything that was on the outside of the elephant. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to undo that. You see that white line? Let's zoom in. So you can see the white line on the outside of my marching ants, and I'm going to hit the delete key. And now I can deselect, Command D. And oh look, I don't even need to zoom in. I still have fringy fringies, which is kind of funny because I expanded by 2. So that meant that the selection originally had a little bit of fringing on it. Let's go ahead and do this one more time. And I'm and I'm going to show you after this how you just take away a fringe on one part. Okay? And it involves the same technique, just kind of a little different. All right, so I'm going to command and click in here. Again, you can see if I do it out here, nothing happens to my hand. You know why? My little hand icon. Because it's not going to do what I want out here neither. But if I click right here, you can see it's working great. I got that little marching ants box. Boom, the elephant is perfectly selected. And what did I do? I went up to the top and I went select, modify, contract. And I did 2 pixels before or 1. Did I just do 1 pixel? I thought I did 2. We're going to do 1 pixel because I think we're darn close. And sadly, you can't do half pixels. At least you couldn't in previous versions. All right, now what's the next step? You go to select, inverse. So now it's going to be everything but the elephant. And I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to deselect by Command D. And look, I have a nicely cut out elephant. I can blur these edges. A little dark line here. That's not bad though. I think that could work, especially if I was going to make them small. So we got rid of all of the white lines. All right, so let's say we have this elephant, but he only has white lines on part of his body. Well, I've got this one here, so we can look at this. The way you remove it just from only part of an elephant, let's say, and it's going to require a little bit of how do you say it? Erasing, a little finesse. Sorry about the noise. I have a doggy chewing a bone behind me, and that's what was distracting me. All right, so they're lined up. So let's say, and I'm going to go ahead and do this just to do it. So I've just deleted a little bit of elephant here. Oops, this ear isn't exactly lined up perfectly. I didn't think I have them as lined up as I thought I did, but that's okay. Deselect that. Let's move with until I feel like it fits seamlessly. All right, I'm gonna say it's close enough for government work. So let's say I just have this one little edge here, right? Well, you do exactly what I just did here. You create a duplicate layer, and you cut out the piece you want to shave. Make it a little bigger so that, because you know it's going to shave over here as well, right? And I'm going to do the same trick. I'm going to shave my pixels off of here. Now I know, and I should have done this a little differently. Shame on me, Pellerano. I should have lined them lined up. Okay, let's line them up here. Let's line them up. How am I going to line them up perfectly? Well, one way to do it is to change the opacity of this guy. And until it stops looking like Shaky Jake. And somehow, oops, I still had that picked. No wonder it wasn't moving. Once it gets perfectly sharp, they're perfectly aligned. Okay. So I'm going to delete part of this fella. I made a copy of it, and so if it had only an outline on one part, we're going to assume this stuff is in here. You could just cut away the parts you don't need to make a copy of, right? I'm going to make it a little bigger than the part that's outlined. I'm just going to delete this, and now I'm going to do an inverse, right? Or I could come over here and click on it holding the Command key, and now just the ear is selected. And then from here, I can shave. Mind you, it's going to shave on the inside. That's why you want to overcut. But you don't have to do it to the entire elephant. If I didn't need to shave any pixels away from this side of the elephant because it was perfect, and I only had one part that was wrong, this is an easy way to fix that one little part. I'm going to go to select, and we know that 2 pixels really didn't do the trick from our experience, right? So select, modify, contract. Let's go for 3 pixels. Let's live a little. All right, and what do? I hit Shift, Command, and I for inverse. I hit the delete key. And now I have gotten rid of the excess in that one little spot. And then if I wanted to, let's say I didn't want them to be 2 layers like this because that would really bother me. Now, mind you, if this had the outline on the back layer, what you'd want to do is erase the outline, just the edges on the back layer, the whole layer, and you're covering it up with this little piece of layer, and I clearly missed it by a pixel. All right. Until you see no more flashy. I went too far the other way. See, it'll stop jogging. All right, I'm not going to worry about that little jog. Yeah, if I needed then to blend these together, I'm going to turn off all the layers except for the elephant. And the easy way to go about this is to say merge visible. Boom. Now those two are now one layer. I got rid of that other layer, and so now this is one piece, and it will move as such. So that's how you would get rid of it in one little part. Hopefully you found this video helpful. I enjoyed doing it, and as always, ask questions and ask for help. I'm always happy to provide you with answers and hopefully the help you need. Thanks.